Namaskar. I'm Prakash Zog and I'll be talking on the basics of Vedas. To begin with, let me remind you that the language of Vedas is Sanskrit, a beautiful, highly evolved, very scientific language. Unfortunately, it's no longer in very common use, spoken by intellectuals only occasionally, that too. But it influences all Indian languages. So for Indians, all the words are usually quite familiar. But for others, they sometimes could be totally unheard of. To understand the Vedas, do we need to know or study Sanskrit? To understand the core, not really. We need to get a feel of all those words though, because they are the original ones. I'll use the original pronunciations as I proceed along. Ved and Yoga, not Vedas and Yoga as many a times it is talked of. Only since it's a part of an English set of terms that I'm going to use along with it, I might have to use word like Vedas in plural occasionally, and I'll do that. I'm sure you can catch on. Many of these words we have heard, but often the true and the exact meaning of these words is not known to us. So to begin with, today I'll talk of a few of these words that are used in reference to Veda as we proceed along. So let's begin. Sanskrit words are derived from what are known as the root of that particular word, and then it is suitably modified to get the exact word. Many Sanskrit words have multiple implied meanings, more so in case of Vedic words. So a special book was designed long time back to get the correct meanings and the correct interpretation of these terms. Let's begin. Let's begin from Ved itself. From Vid, the root, comes Ved, the treatise of knowledge. The statement is not enough. There are many definitions that can give a better comprehensive perspective of the meaning of the word Ved. Details we will work on later on. I'll mention a few of these definitions to begin with. As I said, the root is Vid, which leads to Ved. This is given in that book of terms that I mentioned, the Nirukta. It was formulated and designed by a sage called Yaskacharya. According to the Nirukta, Ved is by which humans gain true knowledge. It makes them wise and capable. There is another book, the Arya Vidya Sudhakar. It uses the four Purushartha, the four objectives of human achievements, to define the Ved. Four Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Dharma is ideal living. Artha is finances. Kama is needs. The word Kam many a times is misinterpreted as sexual desires. It's not really correct because it's more comprehensive. It talks of all needs and desires. It's Kamana from where it actually comes. And the fourth is moksha, that is salvation. So dharma, artha, kama, moksha. The book that provides a comprehensive knowledge of all these four is the Ved. This is another book, the Vedare Prakash. According to it, Ved is that which teaches an individual the method of achieving what is right and giving up what is improper. That is what Ved is. Simplified, it boils down to something very easy. The information compilation for understanding and following the dharma, the ideal way of living, is the way. There are many terms that you will come across, commonly known to us, but they are very often used. You will find many Indians who are named after these words too. I'll clarify their meanings to begin with. The first word is the Shlok. It's a poetic couplet. It's usually in meter, and it's in Sanskrit. There could be shloks in other languages also. For example, Marathi has shloks also. Shloks are usually, possibly sometimes, sung if required. The second term that is often used in the Vedas is Rucha. It's a shlok of praise for the invocation of a special deity referred to in that particular shlok. Then there is the mantra, a shlok recited with proper intonation is a mantra. It's always spoken out. It could be a part of a hymn, it could be a part of a prayer, it could be a part of a spell, it could be a part of a blessing, it could be a part of a curse, it could be used for invocation. But the core is that it is ineffective if it is not uttered. The most important mantra that many of us know of is the Gayatri Mantra, Om Bhu Bhur Bhuva Swaha. It's associated then technically with the sound energy, and is the power of the words that really counts as far as the mantra is concerned. I can't think of a mantra and expect it to work. It has to be uttered with proper intonation, proper rhythm to become effective. These mantras are said to be visualized and formulated by Rishis, that are the sages. When we come to specific ones, I'll give the details accordingly. The mantras also have different types depending upon in which way they are used and for what. In the Rigveda, they are known as the Rucha, the poetic mantra of illumination, the one that enlightens the meaning of words. If you are using it in the Samved, it is known as the Samani or the Sama mantra. It has to be sung in a proper manner to become effective, and it has to be sung in a particular meter. Some of these meters, like the Gayatri, I would be referring to a little later. Then there are the Jaju mantras. They are rhythmic prose mantras that are to be used during different processes involved and explained in the Yajurveda. There is another word, the Sukta. Actually, it's a combination of the words Su and Ukta. Su is good and Ukta is an utterance. Put together, it's a good statement or a good utterance. If you compile a collection of about 8 or 10 mantras referring to a common topic, they could form what is known as a sukta. It's usually in praise of a specific deity that is being talked of. Some of the most popular suktas are the Shri Sukta, in praise of wealth and power, the Purusha Sukta, which talks of the social structure, and the Nasadiya Sukta, which talks of the origin of the universe itself. There is another word, the Stotra. Sometimes another word, Stavan, is used along with it. It's a poetic composition of mantras. Usually they have to be sung, and this is done either by an individual or collectively by a group of people sitting together. Ram Raksha or the Shiva Mahimna Stotra are among the two of the most popular ones. Usually in a temple or in the prayer room of your own house, you sit together individually or with your family members and sing these together. It could be a part of the daily rituals that are the evening prayers in most of the common houses. Other than this, there are some terms that are used only in the Vedas. Varga, for example, is a group of 4 or 5 Ruchas that are put together, and it builds up on this. So if I put a few Ruchas together, what I get is a Varga. But if I put a couple of Vargas together, or a little more of them, I would get a chapter which is known as the Adhyaya. But then the numbers also matter occasionally. If you put 8 mantras or shloks together, you form what is known as an ashtak. Ashta is 8. So ashtak is a group of 8 mantras put together. Karunashtak is one of these ashtaks that is commonly known of. Shankaracharya put forward many units of this sort together. But then there were those groups of 5 also. They are known as the Panchak. We are talking about the Vedas in the long run, and the chapters or the sections in Vedas are also named specifically. The Mandal, for example, is in the Rigveda. You have the Kand in the Yajurveda, the Archik that is used in the Samveda. These are all sections. These are all sections used in different Vedas. As we proceed, I'll go into details with them. The Adhyaya is a word that we often hear. I'm sure most of you know that there are 18 Adhyaya in the Gita. They are the 18 chapters, each dealing with a specific form or a topic in discussion. There is one more aspect that I must mention today. In Sanskrit, the original word has a particular meaning, but it has many logically implied meanings that are more often used, and we should understand them using reference to context. I'll refer to one of them today. The sutra means a thread. A granthi is a knot. So Sutra Grantha is a knotted bunch of threads put together. That's the original meaning. It's never used like that. The two words have a different meaning that is always taken into account. The word sutra is a very clear-cut law, a definition statement. It must be unambiguous. There can be no uncertainty in a sutra. Also, it must use minimum number of words. It's a declaration statement of a particular concept. The Dharma Sutra, for example, is the set of laws. It's equivalent to threads of words that are put together knotted together by a single concept. You must have heard of the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. It is a Sutra Grantha. That means it's a book that combines all the ideas of the yoga put forward by Patanjali in a compiled manner. This is one of the sutras. The sutra is usually something that is to be explained and passed on from the guru to the shishya. That's from the master to the disciple. The concept has to be explained properly by the master to the disciple, and then he must do that as he proceeds and teaches his own students. A collection of such ideas knotted together forms a single body, and these form the number of grantha or the texts that are formed other than the Vedas also. If you look at the other religions that have sprung from the concepts of Veda, Buddhism for example, or Jainism, they would also use majority of these terms. So you would hear of the sutras that are talked of in Buddhism, and the grantha that you would be talking of in other sects. You would be hearing of the Granthi and the Guru Granth Sahib that is used in the Sikh Dharma. So these are words that are all originating from Sanskrit. We'll be using quite a few of them. I do not want to repeat the definitions again and again, so I thought it proper to put it forward for you in the beginning itself. So as we proceed, we'll move ahead and use these ideas. If they need a modification, I'll do that as I proceed. I hope you have enjoyed listening to what I have been talking of. If you have liked it, please like this channel, subscribe to it, and pass on this information to others who would be interested. Thank you. That's all for today.